Okay, this is day I don't know what, but that crash feeling, like glass is like consciousness being shattered. I'm feeling more comfortable in this place, in this space. It's like a crash land, like like somebody like shook you and now you're awake, or like something happened. It's like wake up. It's like what? It's midnight, 10 minutes after midnight. And like, oh, you got to hear this. Like, I want you to be the first one to hear this. Like that feeling, feeling like, is this real? Like, do I really belong in this conversation? Or like family meeting, and it's like 12:30 a.m. in the morning. Everybody like sitting there and all the lights are on. And you're like, uh-oh, who's in trouble? Who did it? You know, it's like it's like this most craziest thing. It's like when we have a busy day ahead of us, it's like, why are we up so early? At 8 a.m., 12:30. Like, no, never mind that. I'll cook you some hot cakes. That's from the South. I feel like, oh, it's like, oh my gosh, is this real? And the reason why my parents would do that is because I remember growing up and we'd be snowed in, and it was to keep us um, on a schedule of waking up early. Like like they wouldn't do it like a consistency. It would just as we were moving towards where we begin getting up in a regular routine early, they would do this kind of getting us into the feel of being up early. And I the house was big, and if it called you in your pajamas, and then you're like wondering if you're in, like, did you do something? And all the lights are on, and you're waiting for the other people to show up, and you're like, oh, no worry about that right now. They're not telling you anything, or like just flipping over hotcakes. Like, oh my gosh, you're feeding me like the best hotcakes in the world, buttered, and all the syrup I want, and the milk I want, and maybe a juice. And oh my gosh, and like, are you gonna like deliver bad news? That feeling always would come over me. Oh my gosh. So it's that feeling of just like crashing in, like, oh gosh, do I even belong right here? But I'm starting to feel more comfortable. I just, I can tell every time I go into this space, I'm gonna be honest, I feel crazy. So I am actually live. I'm not, I haven't like, this is not my the live stream show, as you will. I still have one more thumbnail. Like spirit has been shaking me, and I have had to do thumbnail after thumbnail. I've got a thumbnail that I haven't even uploaded yet. I'm like, because it seems like they want me to make yet another thumbnail, and it's like there are like subjects that are into chapters. So there are certain subjects I'm going into that are in alignment with thumbnails I already have, up there, that I have to like, you like have to follow the story. So I need to, I know people are saying, why don't you just like, you could go in your software and create it. So like a workflow, and then present it, give it a time and date, and then release up one or two at a time for the day. You could do it that way, like 24-hour in advancement. You could do it that way. I know I could do it that way. Or how about you just create them, but you create them on the backside of things, like you leave them privated or unlisted until you're ready to go live, right? Make them public. And you're saying, like some of the dates and times have passed. I know. But it's like I did the pretty, oh, I gotta make sure it's all perfect. I gotta, go live exactly at 5 p.m. I did that. I did that. And you know what? I don't like it. I said, you know what? I did the job. You know, when universe, I want universe to even create the perfect way of going, like going live. You know, maybe it'll become a thing. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I need to inquire, um, Soranus, Father Time. You know, maybe I need to consult. You know, get some of those you know, that old ancient wisdom from the old ones and ask them about time. But I know one thing, when this thing is true, when it comes to the actual work, they tell me when, and I know that right now I'm not supposed to do those lives. I do know that much because they're like, no, we're mapping this out. And I know that it's featured around, oop, I don't want to give it away, but I will say this, it's over the next few days. But it would be proper if I were to go live right now because this is my second week in. And my second week in, and what is that? My additional position. So we're already mapping out like holiday. So yeah, I got to do that by the way, which I'll do that tomorrow or in the morning. For some reason, it feels like for some reason I got a really great sleep in, and so it feels like I'm waking up and feels like, am I getting ready in the morning? Then I had to think, is it Monday? And I was like, no, you gotta. It's true. You're supposed to be going on today. I was like, okay, I'm going on there right away. So I'm on time, all that. In fact, I was a few minutes early. So it's evening, and I'm having my drinks. Of course, I was up all in the morning singing again. I've been lucky. I've been finding some really nice music over the past week, 3 days or so. hmm Yeah, I like. Yeah, I found some really nice, some if you want to call them like music that got those sweet spots. And those, I'm very much attracted to the melodic music these days. hmm Yeah. So, oh yeah, and that's why. So I'm also because I'm learning how to like speak comfortably, and I'll be over here like I can't speak. So I'm learning how to voice bend. There's mind benders, there's wind benders, and then there's me voice bending. Sometimes I may be up here, and then sometimes I may be like, yeah, is that day. That when it's like this, that means yeah, I was up there trying to compete. There you go, up in the clouds where you don't belong. And subsequently, so but then of course I drink these warm drinks and it feels so good. I like this and ooh, another one that's really good is when we were into the whole, stage thing and you have to really take care of your voice is I know that people say lemon because lemon cuts through it all, lemon water, but I liked honey is more like it's sustainable. Honey and water. Honey and water. hmm And then I would say more like the lemon. It's for more like healing because it can act as a that citrus. It reminds it's kind of like an alcohol for the throat. So that's why I like besides the vitamins, the hull and all, boiled. Actually, like my boss would just be like when I met him and like for months because I was there, and everybody was like all the people. including people who referred to themselves as, well, they were clan, but my boss used a no word. This is a word you don't ever call anyone gypsy, and especially in the psychic industry. It's actually derogatory to use that term. So you have to call them by their name, like they're in. Okay, so in their tribe is based on their last names, and they're so prominent that in the psychic industry that if you mention a name, most companies even know their, like, they have the name like a registry, like they have their last name, like that last name. Oh yeah, this such and such name, they're going by their last name, surname. Always they frequent here. It's that kind of thing. So very prestige, popular. So they prefer to be called by their last name that represents the tribe that they are. They go by like their family name, right, as opposed to being called like a gypsy clan, or gypsies. You refer to them as their last name. And then they have like, I guess if you want to say like houses, or we would say tribes, and they can correspond, link, and things like that. Amazing, right? It's beautiful. Well, so to the cause of why I brought it up was they would give me all these like suggestions, and I said, well, I got a suggestion, because at first I thought it was just that was just this thing. Then I said, oh, so you want to do something about it? No problem. So what you do is you create a tincture. So you get the lemon and you squeeze, and then you put. They were saying use other things, right? Like orange. Yeah, they told me something like orange, but I always felt that they were trying to sabotage me as well, because I was like kind of like I was having to do like a many different things, like secretary, administrate, create profile. And they're like, well, why are you there? And plus I'd be going online and going to work just as they would. I had to do what they don't understand. I had to do all of that plus go to work, because he was teaching me a lot. It was like I was in school for like psychic stuff. And and but I didn't have to do, like, if you thinking, no, I wasn't like mopping out chimneys or things. Like, I wasn't doing all that. I did prepare meals though. Like, I cooked a dish for him that, one of my favorites. He loved it. And by the way, he's like, can I have more of that? I was like, sure, no problem. I baked him like a cake or something. But anyway, so it wasn't nothing like what you're thinking. It was more like, no, it was more like I would say, true, genuine mentorship. And um, so yeah, they were like, yeah, doing. I said, I know a better way. So you get the lemon and you squeeze it into hot water, and then but you got to put the whole in there and boil it to a broth. Then you pour it, even the whole into the, if it falls in there, into the, because you simmer it down into a broth, into a cup. And then I'm telling you, the cough went away. And this is an older gentleman, we're talking about in the 60s. The cough went away. So I would say, if you're in that realm, you definitely want to try that, because I'm telling you, it works. So anyway, but I also like honey. I like the honey and the warm water. But in this one, this was more like a cappuccino. Uh-huh. So right now, I'm just going live. You know how I am. Like, I'm putting on my little astronaut suit. I'm in here, or I'm in my deep dive suit, and I have now just submerged into the deep waters, and I'm like just hanging out, exploring, shining light on things, and it's like thinking in my head, like, oh, what was that? Something gonna come out of the darkness, and like great big teeth. I'm like, so I feel like, do I even, like, what am I doing here? Do I belong here? So yeah, so I'm here just to, you know, put my energy forward. Um, but I will get into the deep topics Oh, hi everybody. Oh, I am so sorry. I always forget. I always forget. Hey, the registered Michello. Hey, and hi. How do you read cards? I do. Oh my gosh. You all would I forget that I cannot see your chat. Plus I haven't even let me draw it up so that it can come up. I could see the chat. I didn't draw it up. I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm still getting a bit used to you all like popping in because for the longest time it was just me, I wasn't like I would like people weren't stopping. You all are starting to come in and I tend to forget. I'm like, oh yeah, I have visitors. Okay. I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget that like if you're gonna be live, somebody might come in. All right, now I can see you, so I'll keep a better eye out. My bad. My bad. Well, at least I can't say you at all didn't show up. You all did come in. I can't say. Okay, now I can keep a better eye on you. But I'm also, in my workspace like 3 days, like a third day in. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. So, well, I'll get in the habit. Let me go ahead and answer these questions. First of all, hey, May Child. I believe that's May. Yes, Maycello. May Maycello. Indeed, registered. Yes, I absolutely do read cards. 1,000%. I read the cards. I do, and I read the cards traditional. I also read in modern style. I'm an expert at what I do. So I'm a professional expert. And sometimes when I come on here, I just kind of forget to tell people because I'm used to people actually contacting me. And when they do, they know why they're contacting me. Of course, they're like, well, it says you're a psychic, so be psychic. So I always forget to, like, when people even ask me, like, so how do you read? I don't even tell them how I read. I'm like, well, how I read is I just believe that we all can connect. I connect through your voice, and I would use the thin air to answer your questions today. And any tool I've got, any gifting I've got, rather than opposed to, well, you got your picks. You can choose from my ruins, you could choose from my dice, you could choose from my regular poker cards, you could choose from just me using no tools at all to tarot cards and astrology charts. Instead of saying all that, it depends on what the question is. But I don't go say, well, what is your, we've got all these variations. I just say, well, let's start with your name. And then I'll say, well, let's start with, like, sometimes people say, look, I don't really have a question. I just want a reading. That's one thing. And then sometimes people will say, I just want, like, whatever spirit has to say, I can read that way. And then sometimes people will say, I just want to see what you pick up on me, what you pick up around me. Um, then I will do exactly that. Um, in fact, my reading style is close to mind reading. If like you were saying on a personal level, like what do the service has to offer you when you first initially pick up and I say, hey, or hi, or hello, or welcome, it's mind reading, and which I do within the first few seconds of us interacting. In fact, I just can start reading people, and literally the question they had in mind, that's the question they were going to ask. It's just in their mind, and I just took off with it as though we have been in a 10-minute conversation because we would have just met. The weirdest thing. People find themselves nearly like debating truths, or in the matter of um, they call it subjectiveness, and having just met me. It's a matter of um, you know whose perspective is, like, Like, let's not make it into, something bigger than what it is. We just met. It's not a judgmental thing. There's nothing to it. I'm just letting you know the information. So I have to remind people, it's like we don't need to make it. It doesn't have to. It shouldn't be made personal. Because it's a little unfair. Because I'm pulling information and people are like, then they feel they need to defend it. And like, oh no, no, there's no reason to defend it. It's just this is a flow. Remember, a psychic is on your side. Wherever you're trying to go, wherever you're trying to get to, I'm only here to help you to see whatever the doors or whatever things you need to go under or over or around or through, that you're going to get to where you're intending to go. Mhm. Yeah. So that's the way that um, I read. But I also, in addition, I don't like I mean, general readings it's so overused. It kind of sounds generic when people say, I just want a general reading. I just want to see what pops up. I would say that's when I get the feeling like there's something specific you have in mind, and I might ask them, okay, that's fine, but let's because the person said, I just want the last thing I heard was that really set it off with me. I heard literally that very last time. Oh, I just want a generic reading. Like I do generic. It's like, oh, I just want the basic read. I'm like, no, no, no. I don't do basic. I don't do generic readings. So I said, well, I don't, I don't want to get into any bad habits, like anticipating, oh, generic reading today. Rather, I said, look, I we just choose an area. It doesn't have to be a specific question. In one word, what would you like? Like, what area would you like to know? One word, boom, got it. That's all I need. I'm not asking for. It's not like I'm asking for a lot of information. And if people are like, I don't even want to give you an area, like in one word, like, yeah, I would like to know um, pets or car or hat or heart or love or compassion or motivation or career or jobs, my boss. I mean, if you just don't want to say that and just like, forget it, like, that's a sign for me that the conversation probably wasn't going to go well anyway, because the person's already looking to argue, and arguing, ooh, I've even for the past, I would say, 24 hours, I've even eliminated even, right? Okay, so I've been like, okay, I've been answering the phone, right? Sometimes I have people that are like, they're calling me, like, they just want to hear my voice. Do that a bit, but when I continuously to do it, it gets a little bit weird, so redundant. So I started just saying who I am, my name, and I go quiet. Then I leave it to them. And if they don't say, they hang up or they don't say nothing, I'm like, okay, guys, because when a normal conversation is, hi, my name is, nice to meet you. I'm here for you're here for a reading, a psychic reading. That's what brings you to. Okay, well, let's start. Nice conversation, and then there's somebody else like, sometimes, to be honest with you, it's like in my head I'm thinking some adult is like playing, and I'm saying both men and women. Like I'm like, okay, I don't want to play, because right after some, like, one of my bigger clients that I knew, who, I mean, requires me to be like absolutely focused. They don't ask little questions. They ask like like what they do affects lives, and also they need dates and times and serious business. So I don't even like to entertain the idea. So I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. Hmm. Anyway, so yes, I do read. In short, yes, I do read the cards. And what I mean by traditional is just like the regular Rider Waite, with all the symbolisms that it represents for me. Like, are you going to read cards? I can read cards. I am going to read cards, absolutely. Well, I read them every day, every single day. I wake up reading cards. I go to bed reading cards. So I read the tarot every single day. The tarot is more than just my career. It is more than just a childhood hobby. It is something that is part of it's a culture to me. It's a culture. And which means it has even, I mean, it connects itself to even religion. It connects itself to holy scriptures. The cards tell the story of the Holy Bible. Literally, because when you think about where the cards come from, they come from the times in which the royalty, because it was made for royalty, for to emulate the family royalty, trimmed in gold, that it was, the artist is would have been Roman Catholic, so it's telling a Christian story. That's why it has these elements and mysteries of like how it corresponds, to Psalms 119. And each card has a psalm, and also it's a system, and the number 22 is significant, and the number 11 is significant. It talks about from the five first books, especially. Then it goes into what you refer to as new. The rest is describing elements of spiritualism, and as you progress, it talks about the New Testament. Of course, every culture can also, because it's esoteric symbolism, they can, and usually all cultures align, even by numbers and chakras and their belief systems, and they're looking at the very same star points and constellations as anyone else. So that means things can correspond even based on your culture. So even if you're not a Christian, you still can find yourself represented in the esoteric. And now today's more modern artists can create those tarots. The modern the modern artists, oh, there it is. Modern artists create the imagery, the images of the tarot. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, modern artists, like let's say if you were if you followed Thoth, there's decks that are strictly that. Or if you're like one of the Greek religions, or if you're a Taoist, or if you have practice an African religion, or a spirit religion, or Native American, yes, you can find, or Egyptian even. You can find your culture, and they will correspond because the foundations are already laid, and all it is just finding your symbols and go where they are. That's why the one who learns, that's why it's like Kabbalah, learning the system. It's like it's there is, I believe, a root system, the system that it was created for, but it surpasses into the collective, where it becomes a key to understanding many symbols. Because with the system, it's like a key, as in, what do certain symbols mean? For example, whenever I transcribe this Greek uh, alphabetic symbols from the Bible, or Hebrew letters into the symbols esoterically, I can get a deeper meaning to words, and also the letter, of course, but the word, because when you have letters, then you have symbols, and you read what they say in esoteric language. At least that's what I do. I love doing that as a part of a hobby thing. And occasionally I will like create thumbnails and show what's going on. But usually it's like kind of like a reference, and it's a very rare reference that I will make, because yes, it takes a great deal of interest to want to do that. So I view uh, the tarot cards as esoteric language, a language that I speak and that I'm familiar with. Hmm. Thus, a key that means you can understand like esoterically many symbols across the all cultures. What I'm saying. Hmm. Yeah, esoterically. Besides, applying yourself and just learning a new language, because yes, you can learn, you can know how to speak all that fluently and be very well versed in the Bible. Doesn't mean you're going to be well versed in esoteric language. That's different. It's very different. That doesn't make you a great astrologer or tarot card reader just because you like you understand like the Tower of Babel or something. Hmm. So yes, I read the tarot cards every day, every day. Hmm. I don't even know how busy I'm gonna be today. Like I just making sure I'm here. As long as I am here, and as long as I'm on time, they cannot say you weren't even like you didn't even, like they can't say I'm not doing the best. Like I'm doing it all. Like I'm early. I've already got my scheduled my meetings. Um, yeah, I'm ahead. I'm ahead, truly. So I'm gonna get through these next 2 days. Then I'm gonna start looking at the things like I guess the fun things that I can do. So that's my next thing I'm gonna do, which I'm gonna start that on Wednesday. Finally learning how to do that. I'm gonna write that all out, like write down like how to do it. Like so when I see it, I just know how to automatically just get on board with it, like how to sign in and things. Yeah, they have a lot of fun things I can do. It's like it's like being a part of a club, like a club, private club. That's what it feels like, and it's so grand. It's so fantastic. I can't like. I mean, even when I try to speak about it, it's like it's so overwhelming to talk about. It's like you wouldn't understand it unless you were part of it. So I'm like, why? I think that, like that's the reason why no one speaks about clubs or things like that. It's not that they can't talk about it; it's that it's so amazing. It's just so much that goes into it. It's like, what's the point? Unless you just get a kick out of just like being like talking about like, oh, look what I've got, look, I'm doing all these things. Mm. Yeah, it's just amazing. I just want to be able to do it in a very unique and fantastic way. Yeah. Yeah, I read so the basic gist of the reading tarot, if you're going to do it like I do it, is knowing not only the symbols but also knowing astrology. And then also, I know people sometimes use the tarot cards or means as an alternative to, maybe, going into religion. But and I'm not saying this to say, I hate to break it to you, but the cards did come from a Christian onset. So, like, to study, besides studying the mysticism and the mythology of that book, you at least got to know what the letters represent, because literally the cards are represented by the letters and the astrological signs, which means not only the astrological signs, the planets, but furthermore, when we also got to consider that the astrologies are updated. So you say there's 22 cards, that means there's another sign. If there are 13 signs, and we have the emoji to prove it, and also NASA, I talk about this all the time. You also updated, our star belt. So I'm not making this up. It's science. It's astrophysicist science. Um, then but but nothing changed. Like they still advertise the 12 signs of astrology, right? Yes, that's true. And they said they're not going to update it. And nor will they. Then also, they're most likely not to break from tradition and make you an additional card that's going to represent the 13th card either, or the 13th sign, which would give you 23. That means you mean there's a hidden key or a hidden psalm. And psalm is a song, and the only, of course, I explain it away. This is a theory. In the Bible, it says that Christ will come and teach you all a new psalm or a new song, and maybe that's what he could have meant. He's going to come back and teach you a new letter, so to speak, and which ideally is perfect when you go into the theory, because the 13th sign is based on the literal Christ figure holding the serpent, having conquered the serpent, holding the head of the serpent in one hand and the tail of the serpent in the other hand, and representing great healing. Well, the sign that is in representing the Greek mythos is that a doctor, he was so excellent at healing, such a great, powerful healer. All his sons were doctors. His family basically were genius doctors. And that's also where the caduceus comes from, the serpent on the caduceus. And so, yeah, Zeus struck him down because the underworld, Pluto, was like, hey, he's cheating the gods, it was a big fuss. The gods were like, who does he think he is? So Zeus is like, he was so what they call impressed. He struck him down, but he also put him amongst the stars. So that's the Greek side end of it. So it's a healing, it's a sign of great healing. But also in the Christian astrology, yes, Christian astrology, it's Christ, having conquered the serpent and life unto death and all of that, and healing, Christ as the healer, and controlling information, and also the what comes out and through the information to the world, and also the effects the information creates events, having control over both ends of that. So it all, like, the theory it starts out as a theory, but then it just pieces in together like a wonderful logic. And that's just a general, very general, basic sketch of what that sign. And in fact, its birthday is on its way. It's actually November 29th, 3 days after November 26th. And I'm giving away too much information by simply just talking about this. Uh, so I have some, hold on. Oh my gosh, 1 second. Maybe I need to write it this way. Okay, yeah, November 28th. Well, November 28th, it says here, or November 29th is the day of a ficus. Oh, that's beautiful. That's the day of a ficus, the birthday. Well, traditionally, usually Thanksgiving, or the first Thanksgiving, that was when it was into becoming government national holiday, was on the 26th. Here it says the 28th. So let me check. Okay, so Thursday, November 28th. And let's be sure. I think it's like the 29th. Yeah, yeah. No, number 28th or number 29th, the day of a ficus, a day of great healing. Oh, that's no coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence that Thanksgiving should be on the 28th. There's no coincidence. It's pretty close. But here it says like the 29th. But when you talk about the 28th, you're talking about being on the cusp of both Scorpio and a ficus. Seems very special. And both Scorpio and a ficus are ruled by the same planet, Pluto, representing transformation, the transition, as in the transcendence, the transformation of a Christ being, also the humanity, Christ consciousness, So anyway, all of that is, you would say needs to be understood. All of that needs to be understood. Yes. All of that is meant to be understood. And this is, imagine this, it's the 60s, it's the 40s, and you are endowed, and you're, like you're having to grow up in these tight eras, right? We're talking about post civil rights movements, right? The quiet, it's called the quiet generation, the silent generation. We're moving through the silent generation, and probably they knew this, meaning they spiritually knew this information, but it hadn't become like mainstream yet. It gets to become more mainstream, like into the well, in the 40s, the Christian Sciences had just arrived, right? So they were just beginning to talk about this. Then another decade passes, and then it's becoming mainstream, like something that is normalized, like, but really people were seeking it. And then then around somewhere late 50s, like 58, 59, 60s, that's when they would have wanted to talk about the age of Aquarius, all the music that they wrote about. They were specifically talking about 2024. Can you imagine? You're in the 60s, you're like, age of Aquarius, one day, someday, one day, someday. And you're like, what proof do you have? And were they talking about the sign of a ficus? Maybe they were. Maybe there's somebody with the whole get up. And I mean, that's a real dress. That wasn't a get up. They're like, yeah, you don't even know about the sign of a ficus? Man, you're behind. But like okay, I came into the information like 12, okay, like 2008. That's when I like 2008, 2010, because I was like, okay, what is going on? Because it was like something bad happened, like reality shifted. I'm like, what's going on? It's like we were warped, and everybody was like, and so I went snooping because my claircognizant at the time, I wasn't aware that it was claircognizant, and I just like discovered the word in college, and discovering that's why I was getting information and why I kept getting into trouble, because I get knowledge that I weren't supposed to have, because you gotta. It's about facts and being able to reference. I would go and reference, and I would be thinking when people say go and reference, and the author, you're supposed to be able to predict. I thought they meant like real, like, because I grew up, making predictions like for a few. I thought they literally mean prediction, but it meant like through analysis, and hard facts. But see, I would end up writing about things, and then like later on that evening, the news channel would say yes, and they would say the words, these catchwords that there was like, you don't know that. I mean, full on like, you don't know that. You don't have proof. And then that evening, 5 o'clock news, I like, and obviously my instructors would be like, yeah, we saw that. We saw the same news. They were like, they broke down like, look, just you got to break it down to us. They said us are simple people. For us simple people, you got to break it down to us simple people so we understand. I was like, what an apology. I was trying to leap up to the sky, because I remember standing at the corner of the desk on the other side of the room, and that little lady, she made her way across from where she was really astute, and prim and, proper. She's got her, nicely, she's a professor, and she just like fell over, and her opened up her real vulnerability. I'm like, yikes. That's good. I would have like clomped to the ceiling. I'm like, what? Well, you have to explain it to us, simple mind. You got to bring it down. You don't need to speak it way up there. So she made me. I started was doing technical writing because I was trying to impress, and she was like, this is boring. So she like, don't you have something exciting to write about? So I think that I like to go on information and on and on and on and process. So that's why I like to talk about the tarot the way I do. And I know you all are like, you're gonna read my tarot cards or what? So she's more like, don't you have anybody that have like an illness in your family? Write about that. Like, write about drama. So I think that what makes mine interesting, what she would favor is, being if she was overseeing me now, I would say, unless I shouldn't use that word overseeing, like what, like being a professor with me and me as a student, learning from her now. I think that she would be like, yeah, we like it when you talk about the world events. You know, that's far more interesting than like the process and methods of reading the tarot cards for, you know, traditional, modern, who gives a but now that I'm in charge and you know, and only I am doing the grading over here, I'm okay with I love it. I will talk to myself. Well, anyway, so at the time I discovered claircognizant. So that's like, oh, I wish that like, that's what I would have loved to known when I was young, because I was getting the same information. Like I got no, I'm not even gonna mention that. Um, so basically, uh okay, a lot with Pluto discovered, okay, oh, that's what's going on. You know, like we're entered to a new era. And I was like, age of Aquarius, yes, I know Age of Aquarius. I grew up in the metaphysical community. So, okay, so then I had to realize, I had to sit myself down and say, okay, stop. Okay, what is actually the age of Aquarius? If it's an age, then there's an era, that means there's a time. And if there's a time, it should be a year or something or a date. So I looked it up. And I said, Age of Aquarius, Age of Aquarius. So then I went to it. I said, well, I couldn't find anything really. I only saw like concepts and theory, like, you know, like philosophies over it, you know, and like different beliefs over it. So I said, well, let me turn to astrology. It's got to be because spiritual metaphysic, it's got to be reliant upon astrology. Come to find out, it's true. We use Pluto to discover what age that we are in. And yeah, so that's what led me on my path. And then only that, everything began to make sense. The planet Pluto and its transformation, and also when Pluto had been uh, not like it's what do you call it? Its vestiges have been stripped from it because it didn't do what people wanted it to do. It's a whole story to that, and it tells a story of both. It's the story of the justice or Libra, of the balanced scales, the balanced scales of the universe, the laws of the universe, and fighting for the seat of Jupiter, the highest office in the land, right? Um, Basically, it 2008. That would have been during Hillary Clinton's and Barack Obama's era, and so you have Pluto making the move, and so there was a group of people. Be honest with you, we can say this openly now. The Democratic Party. Oh, this is unbiased information. It's just information. Democratic Party were really at that time into like veering into the mysteries of things, like what is to come, what's to happen next. And the persons depicted Pluto entering into Sagittarius, which is brilliant when you look at the media, like the mainstream media of the signs, because it goes Scorpio, Sagittarius. So it's Pluto into Sagittarius, which Jupiter is somewhere in the midst, and it was just triangulated in such a way that it is true they would have amassed great powers. It was a whole nother. There's a reality, right? There's a reality, but the way that it looked like from a psychic's point of view, when you're looking, it's like looking at a. It's like watching like a movie being played out in a reality, and then there is an actual reality that everyone is playing. It's not that this isn't real. It's just that the it's not on the frequency of our reality. So in another reality, all that is happening, but in this reality, and everyone's playing out, as they would in the shadow realm. But in this reality, it is something else happened. Pluto went out. It felt like Pluto like kind of like broke off and broke on its own. And they said it's not even acting like a planet because plus behind that emotion is, wait a minute, because then and Pluto is also associated with, it's like the bank of all the other planet signs. So it's a money, housing, all that. So that would have been the when the housing crisis and we went into reception and all of that. Okay, and everybody's mad. They're trying to capture Pluto. Like, come, like you're trying to get whatever. Pluto went. You know, Pluto was, what do you call it? Was what do you call it? Ejected from its throne. That and what do you call it? Exiled, exiled from the royal godhood of courts, you know, and um, and then not only that, you know, it says no longer not even a dwarf planet, but like an asteroid. They wanted to give it an asteroid, and they're like, oh, it's just whatever. It's just a chunk of rock. What powers that? What can it do? Well, Pluto was like, what offense? So secretly they had to correct that and by anyway. So skip it, you know, ahead. So okay, so 2008, 2010, everybody's up in arms, and then we discovered that where did Pluto go? Oh, a ficus. Pluto is in a ficus. Then we begin to understand that a ficus is now part of the or was always been, but was always counted out of the astrological belt because 12 is very neat. It's very neat. That's why time 12 rather than, you know, opposed to 13, which is more in alignment to if we're following the lunar calendar. Like if you're lunar, it makes more sense. If you're solar, because solar religion is going to say, well, 12, because you're following the sun. But like lunar mind based, like the Eastern religions and, you know, spirituality is lunar. And also the Bible is lunar. Um, but the Druids is lunar. Chinese is lunar. Egyptian lunar. They understand the lunar concepts. Um, so it sounds like the Egyptians and the um, Babylonians and the Greeks would have differed. It's not saying they didn't know better. It's just that it was a matter of neatness on the calendar. 12 pantheon gods, 12 months, 12 hours, and so forth. But Egyptians were more like, no, truly, there is 13. Well, 14. But the 14th, and what's interesting, um, when the constellations are being formed, one is lost and it's a body part. I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, there's that one that wasn't uncovered yet, making up 14. And of course, Neil deGrasse, an astrophysicist, confirms actually there are 14 indeed, but it's so brief. It's so brief that no one really connects with it. And I also now I did skip ahead. That's for age of Pisces, so it's not even something that doesn't affect us so much. Not really until it won't become a thing until age of Pisces, and also they're doing NASA is doing secret expeditions to study it, right? So we're good, but we're like that's like quantum quantum information, like information that's so far into the future. It's like we've got a lot of things we need to focus on in the present. So let's get back to so what does Pluto got to do with so ever since so okay so from 2008 into 2012 that's when I began my I was like I need to like my since it was only like 2009 and 10 I was like I need to get this out of my mind because it's driving me crazy because this potentially has to be in my lifetime that age of Aquarius actually I'm going to like be alive when age of Aquarius comes. So I'm like, but I'm like, age of Aquarius, it's a thing, it's a real thing. What is it? Like it's really piqued my spiritual psychic interest. And so I tried to forget and like just be young because at that time I'd have been like just be young, do young people things. So from 10 to so on the from the 12 that's when the countdown I said I don't need to start really counting down until 2012 because then the 12 edition would be the 12 if you want to know why 12 years well there are the Chinese zodiac which we needed to get to the wood dragon. The wood dragon and the time that Pluto enters into This is what the other parts that people don't know. So, okay, everybody knows the part that Pluto entered in February into Age of Aquarius. What a lot of people miss is that this is the year of resources. This is also the year of the wood dragon. That when all this is transpiring, which means the year of resources, and people wanting, like you're going out there and people are drawn to, want to create a path for themselves, autonomy and things like that, individuality and independence, things like that. Everything that Pluto in Aquarius stands for. Aquarius alone is a revolutionary sign. Even Uranus is a planet of revolution, and also like revolutionary thinking. So, um, right. So these are big shifts and factors. Of course, as you follow the story, somehow the Democratic story stems from this path into reality. Their reality, for some reason, it's in another dimension. It's not. I'm not. This is not a judgmental thing. It's not saying, oh, one place is spiritually correct and the other one is not. It's just that they're not on the frequency that ranges all the way back to 2008. They've not been able to actualize the frequency or bring that frequency into manifestation. Um, Indicating more work, more study needs to be done. There's simply just not unprepared. There's more to prepare for. Like how you can gain so much success, and in your own right, you're going to get prizes. Like you're gonna get notoriety forever. Like you're gonna go be down in history. But there's so much more to amass. So many more lessons that it's going to, like, when you find out, like, oh, I did pretty well, then of course they get back with you and they're like, you're here, which is like the top percentile. Yeah, I'm at the top, but like, yeah, but we need you here. We need you here because it's like beyond excellent, beyond the excellent, which is, you know, which great mastery, effort, almost like nearly effort. Like, so we're still building into having what we call that perfect information. We don't have it yet. We're still working through it. But we're at the highest peak and what we can do right now, we can celebrate ourselves in our highest abilities. Hence entering into 2025, which is exactly about that. Because this year would have been extremely challenging. First of all, when we entered into this year, there's many exodus from industries. We got to remember that for months, people were like, I'm trying to find that perfect job. I'm trying to find my perfect soul group. Like, what's up with that? Like, and then when you finally do, you're still trying to figure some things out. And then plus you got this autonomy, independent feeling vibe. Then let alone also lifing is just doing as it does. And then it wasn't until this particular season, like mid-July for me, that I felt it. But most people were really feeling it like as we were approaching October. So October, manifestation month, in November, people are just now getting the ability to now like know exactly what they're gonna be doing. Upcoming 2025. So that means their journey so far as like handling these resources actually is 2025, early 2025. I mean, you can say, yeah, it's lunch, it's already ready to go, and I'm sitting here in my space and all that. It's gonna be great, and everything, we shook hands and all of that. The investments are made, but you're waiting for the new year so that when, like, you say, like, it's taking off, like it's doing what it's meant to do. Like now you're excelling at the highest height that you're meant to. But there's so much more that we're going to know, so much more that we're going to learn. That means life must continue. That means there is life. That means there's events in which we're going to participate in. So as we count up from 2012, that means year after year, like closer to year of Aquarius, closer to year Aquarius. And the way that is described, so from 2012, we don't start the ascent up towards the spiral of it goes up like the Kundalini, the Earth's Kundalini. That's where you get the Kundalini from. There's Kundalini energies. And then it goes to what we call the origin of the star. The origin of the star is what we call the Christ conscious. You write Christ consciousness. So it goes 12 years, 12 rings, each one until we get to age of Aquarius. In the age of Aquarius, naturally gets you Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness can translate as, those of you, if that's a trigger word, would be great awareness, or high, or as you say, our higher consciousness. And what that provides is like we've got in the age of Capricorn all this information and structures of information. Um, it works and then it doesn't work, but there's always room for improvement. And then with the karmas, of course, so through the actions that humanity, collectively creates. Well, the Aquarius allows for all information to be placed in front of us under our higher consciousness, even as you would say, the Christ consciousness filter, and look at it and say, this information or this dogma or this philosophy or this book or this is really not it. So this is not, or this is some of this, okay, partially this is true, the rest is not. So it's like we are the ones that go through information to see what information is accurate. That's what we do. On the age of Pisces people are going to have like ready perfect information with impeccable insight. So like now we have it, like that's why I was saying, especially if you're like a like a crown chakra person, you're gonna have tons of information flooding at you, and you're gonna be like receiving a lot of information. But anyway, I believe that, of course, Age of Aquarius said the idea was everyone in this awakening would receive different kinds of information that they would have to that we would come to discover and have to observe for themselves and determine for themselves, like, okay, but it's supposed to on another wavelength, another level, factor in perfectly perfect information, like this is why this, and with deeper, greater conscious, spiritual conscious understanding. Mm-hmm. um Also, in this age, it's considered that the mind as having a heart, like it's like, for example, part of that truth, the science people say that the heart, has cells, the same cells that's likened to the brain. And so there's like two things going on here. And people say often, let your heart and your mind be one, or your heart and your mind, why are they both in conflict of each other? Things like that, those kinds of and those principles or philosophies or thoughts. And so this is a time where, um, like you would say, there's a great, like mental effort towards humanity, that a certain like quality of of like consciousness, insight, conscientious insights that is not provided too often in history, or at least not visibly so, versus now. But a deeper understanding than just between what is black and white and wrong and right. It's that the deeper spiritual meanings of why things arrived as they have in the event of, we're in 2024, almost in 2025. So anyway, so 2024 happens, 2019. So what happened to Pluto? So in 2019, well, we can pull it up. 2019, just in case you don't believe me. Pluto is a Okay. Pluto has been officially reclassified. This was in 2019. It says it's a historic day, one that will bring joy to the hundreds of millions of Pluto lovers. Uh, Scorpio's like, thank you very much for giving my planet. Now I have a planet again. I don't have to say, oh, my sub ruler. Is my sub ruler is taking over while the boss is gone. But it says the body that is responsible for naming the classific. Okay, so the body, that is the IAU, that's the International Astronomical Union, the body that is responsible for naming and classifying objects in the cosmos, just announced that Pluto has been reclassified as a major planet. So it's no longer, Pluto is no longer, right? In astrology, it's considered a major planet, always was. And also, it's the planet of one of the three major deities. Remember, there are three locations of the soul. Pluto is in charge of three realms. Pluto, or Hades, is in charge of the underworld. Zeus took up to the heavens, and Neptune took to the waters. But Pluto is a dwarf planet. Well, it's been reclassified as a major planet, which means it has joined the major planet ranks amongst any of the planets. Of course, when you speak on astrology, that includes the sun and the moon. But for sake of just like astrophysicists and astronomy, I would say, we could put the moon and the sun to the side and just say, you mean like Venus and Jupiter and Neptune, like major planet? Yes, because remember they say the major planets, and you would say you learn in school, you're like, oh yeah, well Pluto is a weird one. Sometimes thought of it as an asteroid, and it was like, well, what's up for dwarf planet? It's no longer an asteroid or dwarf planet, but is a major planet, like all the other planets. In fact, it says that's right. It's rejoining the ranks of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Planet X, the planet that will surely spell. Oh yeah, yeah, the Planet X. Everybody's look out for Planet X. Uh, it says many, as you know, in 2006, 2008, when we find out they're always 2 years early than us in the academia. So 2006, 2008, when everything began to come forward. IAU made their infamous vote deciding to demote everyone's favorite planet to a dwarf planet. It had always been a dwarf planet since I was in school. So it says it didn't meet the criteria. Well, because they said it in the books. So I actually remember reading that in the books. It didn't meet the criteria needed at the time of a full-size planet. Immediately, 2006 announcement, the public exploded in outrage. Right, yeah, and rightly. Okay, the campaigns launched where Pluto was now reinstated as a planet. These met with no success. Okay. It says after years of deliberation, the IAU announces in a press release they have reclassified the world that is icy because it's ice and hot. Scorpio is ice and fire. They upgraded Pluto back to its proper standing as a planet number one, and then also with a little bit with extra little honors too. It says we simply underestimated the public's attachment to Pluto. Realized our error shortly after the decision came down to demoting it. Yeah, that Pluto is actually a very major aspect of society astrologically. Mm-hmm. It says Dr. Amy Joggi, professor at the Institute of Planetary Studies, head of the IAU's Planetary Classification and Experimental Non-Molecular Task Force, said, "We didn't think that anyone really would care. A little clump of ice and rock on the outskirts of the solar system was reclassified. Today, we take many steps back. We take the steps to correct this most grievous of errors. Proposed that IAU created new category of planet called a hyperplanet. So these hyperplanets, according to Dr. Joggi, are like regular planets, but at least 2 times as awesome. So they're understanding its qualities. It has been proposed. Okay, so Pluto is made now honorary member of this new planetary classification. And it says, honestly, we feel bad for the way that people that we treated Pluto, and more importantly, all those that cared about it. Public shows, yeah. So it elevated into its ascended into this throne. The king that comes back from being from the exile, sits back on the throne, and it had coronation in 2019. In its new kingdom, a ficus, returning back to a ficus. Uh, and it takes up most of the days of its, also the sign that you're aware of, the sign of Scorpio, leaving, now there's only 6 degrees or 6 days to be a true Scorpio. The rest is, you'll be a ficus. Hopefully the new class of planet will be created without a hitch. Okay, the Pluto is added to the first of the members. So it's gonna be a first list, number one, first of all. And they wrote in quotes, it's only fair. And it's yay. The last piece of that quote is yay. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? Yes. And so Pluto not only, is a major planet with honors and, crown and back in throne, and is okay. Venus is in charge of 2 signs, Mercury is in charge of 2 signs, and now Pluto is in charge of 2 signs. Okay. Now other signs have like they sub-rule in planets in astrology, right? They sub-rule as like Mars, it has its sign, they also sub-rules in uh Scorpio. Neptune is in charge of Pisces, but the sign that we're still, I mean, is in the future, Neptune actually is going to be in charge of 2 signs in the future. Not really something we need to focus on at the moment. Right now, we're just our first year in the age of Aquarius. So anyway, Pluto is a planet that astrologers use to follow the ages. Oh boy. So that's 2019, and then from 2019, and also 2019 is when, like 2018 is when everything went super dark. Oh my gosh, the psychic readings were so dark. It started from the climb into dark readings started becoming visible around like mid 2015. It was like 1 or 2 like dark vibration readings, and then 2016 it was like steady. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like how bad is it gonna get? Oh, it went bad, bad. 2019. Oh, 2018, oh my gosh, 2019, that was it. So in 2019, by the end of that year, December 2019, my spiritual company broke contract 6 days. Isn't that interesting? 6 days, Scorpio, you only get 6 degrees to become Scorpio. 6 days before the 25th, that's Christmas. They're like, break contract. It's like you didn't want to choose a better time, not in our blizzard. That's okay. We got it. We got it. We're supernatural over here. But we're like, we work in tandem with, engineers. Okay, so hired on the 25th, that's what it said. So December 25th, 2019, that's what date hired. And then 2 weeks, pandemic hits. It's 2020 into the new year. It's like universe God says, got you where I need you. And this excelled, I just excelled from there. I was like, oh, thank you. And then 2022, I was called out to the wilderness, and it's a full moon. The spirit, Irish accent, said, you can't keep working here. I'm like, what? Yes, you're going back to the psychic world. And the focus is Europe. Europe, what? London. Yes. And yeah, so now I've got The spirit was had an Irish accent, and I hadn't even started looking. And yeah, so now I read literally there's a line that's called Irish. It was whenever the reception comes in, this is Irish, and and of course there are Irish speaking, or they have the accent people who actually live in Wales and, and Ireland and just all over the UK, right? In all the names that are Europe, and in that area. Yeah. Also, people from all over in that part of the world, like Dubai, Africa. I've even been working. I have a feeling I'm working with a princess. Well, I've already worked with known princess people or ladies who have actually real crests, and things like that. But I'm working with. I haven't told her, but there's a woman who is from. She has connections to Africa, and I have a feeling that she is either was or is, but I was like, okay. I almost said it as we were saying our goodbyes, but she always calls, and she's like doing this massive work, and she's so professional. Like she views everyone as clients, but the work, and she sounds very like meticulous, but in the actuality is that she is she takes care of people who are special needs, who have mental health issues, and and she's also in a place where she deals with a lot of children. Having also she has a daughter who's in college, who she just started, who's in massive university, brilliant, right? They're always doing readings, looking out for her, as she grows and develops. But she herself, had twins as well, had twins, a boy and a girl. And so, and also she creates a home for children. Then on top of that, she has houses and properties, and owns property in in Zimbabwe, Africa, and working closely with the courts and the government, and you know, and she like I saw a class element, like when we think of okay, Zimbabwe, oh, like being you mean like being robbed out of your money, like her, like you don't mess with her. It's like she's different. Like, oh yeah, that doesn't apply to me. That's all you. Yeah, like I own this, I own that, and it's a school. It's a school. Like so yeah, she's always doing things like that. And I didn't tell her, but I was like, I know you're royalty. Either she's royalty in this life, but it feels like she's royalty in this life, at least at home. But over there, she's carrying a life, like a torch to do greater things. And so, yeah, like, she's a massive interpreter. She's like and like something of her own, and she is at the pinnacle, at the top of it. It's like she's completely, besides having to follow the rules of the land, the government of the land, in terms of what she does, she's pretty much like people, her family members work for her. Groups work with intent in connection with her. And she doesn't really like, because I said that, you're at the stature where people will attract to you if you really want to be out in the public. She doesn't want to be in the public. She doesn't really want to be like networking like that. Like I'm somebody, this is what I do. She doesn't want to even be thought of like that. She'd rather just be in charge and be like, here, do this, do that, and take care of, get people's needs met. That's all she want to do, actually. She's not even looking to be in the spotlight. So I'm like, but it was just for the past, like within hours, what I was thinking about is like, she's generating like royalty vibrations. I feel like she's like royalty, or was a queen in another lifetime, you know. Anyway, so that was very fascinating to get a vibe off of, to feel. Yeah. And of course, she's bringing about this great, bright understanding for 2024. We've been working together for a few years, and she's acquired so much, like houses and land, and the clients she wanted, and some clients she let go, and people she's let go. Like when I first met her, we had to clear out a whole bunch of people who were like, they wanted her to be like a gutter business, like private small tech chain, like just collect check. They're like, look, I did it. Now check, please. Like, just pay me money. You know, if you want to keep me, you're gonna keep me. You gotta pay me extras. Like, and and it's not like they were exceptional. Like, not like they were trying. So trying to give me a reason to do it first. You know, to pay you more. So we had to go through like, I mean, we had to about clear out her entire staff. We about cleared them all, and then brought on new vibration. And so now that's not even a subject anymore. That's why I tell people, like, I know, like, when I work with other like companies, are like, you don't give them the answers. You know, that's not helping. You can't help people in 5 minutes. What they're saying is you can't make a lot of money in 5 minutes. That's what they're saying. But in my mind, you help them, they call you back, and they end up calling you back on more serious subjects that also demonstrates the abilities and the competency of the gift, to provide the gift, that they're getting value. Then they spend more money with you, as they have. That's how I believe. So I always tell the truth, and I always like go straight to the answers, and I definitely resolve problems quickly, as quickly as possible, so that the next time people are calling me, they're calling me about, okay, it's the aftermath. Now that this has happened, now this thing is happening. This is what's going on. Okay, we finally got that, secured that. So what's next? What do you see? What's next? Well, I'm thinking about doing this, and they're like going up and going these amazing things. And they're working with people at first, because she was like, like, she's like, like what they call my one of my elders in past would call it I call it bulldogging, like in the what do you call it, in the social service circuit. You got to go in there, and then people, you got to bulldog. The words were used, bulldog to get the ball to roll, get the ball to roll, because people just, it's basically, especially a private space, they're just getting the dollars, is getting the money. Like, what's your hurry? Like, the person who shows up ready to, like, you show up, oh, you're green around the ears. You want to get the job done in 4 hours. Well, we need to stretch this out for 4 months, so keep getting money. So take your time. Like, you don't, like, you want to go home so early, and collect a small check. You're like, oh, you got your check. It's been 5 months since we started on this project. How do you feel? Do you feel, like rectified, like vindicated? Do you feel like you have gained wealth? So so bulldog, like, no, there's some people who would say, no, I'm actually here to actually help and do the job excellent in a reasonable time. We're talking about human lives. So yeah, so she's a bit like that in a lot of ways. Like, I was even with her in readings where she's like, we're gonna prepare to confront. Like, so she's had to like confront line people, like, boom. She's been brought up to the councils of states, and people coming at it. It was like, and we knocked them down, them dominoes. And then now she's in a position. I said, because she has clients. She's like, yeah, they're trying to take these clients. They're gonna do it. I'm like, you know what? Let me tell you this. They ain't gonna be able to do nothing with them babies. You can. You're the only one who can, who will, and want to. Until the day you are ready, them baby gonna stay right there with you. These young ones, these particularly. And today it was like, okay, I'm ready to work with them now. I'm ready to work with them. They keep threatening and threatening, but when they come, they think, I'll have like, this is too, they do too much. We can't accommodate. But they find right where they are, right here. You're doing such an excellent job. It is true. But I was trying to be, I had to say, I said it so tactfully. I was so calm and like, and you do such a, like, yeah, they said that. And I'm like, so wonderful story, And so finally, I said, if you so choose, I gave her already the times and dates when it will happen. I was very surprised to read that the boy would go first before the girl, actually. So yeah. So that's 2025 though. So we still have a few months to get through. So 2022. So I've been working throughout 2022. Honestly, if it was, we read it yesterday, so 2022 into 2024, still reading, and now joined, very end. I, I wasn't anticipating that. Like, I knew that everyone was getting great news. I didn't know myself. I mean, I included myself. I always tell people, don't forget to include yourself into receiving things from the collective conscious. But I was so surprised that it was the company that I wanted all these years, all the way back from when I started in 2014, 16, 19, all the way back, and finally was allowed to interview early this year, February, and I didn't know where it was going to lead. And then they, like, 9 months later, like, in fact, it was October 31st. November 1st, I sent everything to them to move ahead. And it was like, welcome, welcome. We're so, it's like, what is and so I too, and I was telling people, don't you worry, midnight, it'll be 1st November. You and I you'll be celebrating this tangible everything, and everything that I was saying to them. That's what happened with them. But then it happened to me. I was pulled into it, and then and throughout November, people are celebrating, like, yeah, 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 my autonomy and my independence and things that I wanted to personally work on. Oh my gosh. And is it going to work out? Because everybody's freaking out. Well, everyone's freaking out. Like, is this real? Like, is this, like, does this really have potential? Like, is somebody going to come and throw me off my game, or wreck it for me, or get me thrown off of it? It's like, no, you're not. No, not at all. It's no one is gonna come onto the path, because you know why? Jupiter did a weird thing. In 2008, there was a lot of thing going with Pluto and Jupiter. They posted, like, cohesively, because Pluto would have entered into Sagittarius. Sagittarius planet is Jupiter, and there would have been this alliance, this reality. Well, in this reality, Jupiter is doing its thing, and how we would read it is that I describe it as like a like a police officer who's shining bright lights on everybody, good and bad. Like, okay, you're supposed to do, well, you need to rethink your life. And so everybody's being seen. Like, whatever you're doing at the time, is like my client, for example, wanting everything to be quiet and behind the scene, now is openly saying, like, the good that she, the ability, competency, all of that, skills, that she was like, well, you're just supposed to be like that. Now it's visibly saying, oh, people are seeing what you do. Um, Also, so very great for, like, stage world type events, because that's what Jupiter's about. It's about how the public literally sees you. That means to see you in your best, at your best, and at your least. And Yep. And also, of course, it's the planet of expansion. So, of course, that's more goes even further influences people. Like, in terms of, like, people say, you might say, well, autonomy, independence. I'm already, like, if you're already a business owner, or let's say you are, like, you work for corporate. It just means, like, as you're expanding your horizon, you find refuge in your own independence, your own autonomy. In some way, you're still able to connect with the idea. You work, like, the business that you have business partners. I read for a person, and they started out together, but where they're going, they're going different directions. Things like that. Or you're able to do things differently, where you're not maybe as dependent upon the services that worked before, but it's in order to break, like, it's like you're breaking at the seams, and it's time to elevate. And as that takes shape, you're going to break away from certain groups. So it can mean, in that way, you no longer require certain kinds of partnerships or levels of partnership. as before. You know, I dealt with people who, the way that it's expressed, they work like kind of like in a firm like setting, and it require, like, look, we all can work together and network, but then at the same time, it's like, well, you might have like a person who's going through this, figure out a way that I'm doing everything that they say that we get together to do for. It's like I had to carefully guide because my clients don't see these things themselves. They're living it. They're so busy living it. It's like for them, it's like breathing air and drinking water. It's just that's just what you do. And so I'm breaking it down, and they're like, "Are you flattering me?" I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Let's see how this plays out." And then when it plays out, then they get it. Like one of my clients is like I had to point out like their gifts, like pointing out like I had to get my clients to own up to their capabilities. Like my clients are awesome people, right? And I'm like, look, you don't need that because listen, and then I got into everything that we talked about in our readings and what they have actually accomplished working with me. So like, look, you remember we said you were gonna do this? You did this. You did you acquired these things on your own. That means you're doing this, what they're offering, that's why you're feeling comfortable going with them. Now you can go there, but you're gonna come. I use the word alone. They were like, no, but I'm not gonna be alone. I'm not gonna. No, 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 no. That's not what I meant. You're on. Now I had to explain to them about platforming. Okay, they have a platform, and then now, but you also have acquired a platform. As we kind of what we talked about. You making sure that you cannot or you got to go towards the light. You got to go towards the podium, towards the microphone. And when you go there, you are the one primarily speaking. And they're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And you speak to like not like just five people, like a room full of 12 adults. Someone who brought the kid. No, no, we're talking about like actual like intelligent thinking community, right? Colleagues, 150 plus 300 and plus people, right? And being in, we got you. We talked about being in magazines and bloggings and articles, and actually like real intellectual minds, interacting with. I was like, I had to bring all that out. Like, look, so when I say come on your own, I mean you're coming with all that you've acquired, all of your abilities and skills, and you're joining them, which means you have a lot to bring to their platform. And yeah, so now they're thinking they got it. They're like, well, they're going to talk on subjects, but she clearly, my client's like, I'm going to have the more of the uh, of the information, like the wide my range is going to be so much greater. She already knows. Like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yes. So yes, she'll be a major contributor and still do some work with them, but we also know psychically she's got this. She's got this part secured, and that's what I wanted to leave her with. Leave her with power. I love to help the client realize their full potential and have their power in their hands. Whatever that how they choose to use it, beyond my reading, if we never talk again, it's in their hands. They've got the cards, they've got the understanding of their abilities, the predictions have come to pass. They're better than off within from the first time we began speaking to versus now. I have clients where they felt like they know, not just felt it, but they know that like people have been slinging bad energy in a way. I have clients that they don't even talk about such matters anymore. Like sometimes they're like, is it really over? Is it really, really over all of that darkness that people that I was getting from? Is that really behind me now? People sometimes they'll like ask it out randomly, and we hadn't talked about it for months. Like we're so busy talking about your future and what light is being brought your way. That's what we're focusing on, enhancing your world. And and so in my mind, I'm so used to when people try to make it about me, I'm like, it's not about this. This is something that is happening with you. I'm relaying information. This is strictly for you. And I just wasn't really thinking about like, here it is, literally October 31st, and I'd be receiving an email from like my dream job to reach out to me, and it's everything. It exceeded my dream, but what I felt that it could, I always felt that it could exceed. And I was in an excellent, I was speaking from, and I was having these kinds of impressions. I was at the highest peak of my performance at the time of where I was in terms of the company associated with, and experiencing all of the, if you want to say, the Hollywood lifestyle, the red carpet, all of that. I was doing all of that, or LA scene, but as a psychic, I had my tarot cards, all of that, the whole thing, the whole shebang. And I was like thinking, I was like, that's my dream. Someday, I have a feeling like, I don't know what it is. I don't know about you. I don't know what you offer. I don't even know, like, this one right here. I mean, they didn't, like, I'm not saying that, I'm not claiming that they helped me like get into like studios. Like, I did that on my own. In fact, I found them. A comedian suggested that I apply with the company that I'm talking about, the old company. Said you should go for it. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. It'll work out for you. So I did, and then it did work out for me. Um, then I just, I was doing, interviews and things like that, and yeah, so and got connected with like talent coordinators and things like that. And so I didn't know even what this one offered. I just knew that I was like, whatever it is that you offer, it must going to exceed whatever I think success is and achievement is, or resources or abilities. You must have the ability to exceed that, because it must be not just like not in a superficial way, but um it must be extraordinary, super extraordinary. That's why whenever I go to talk about, like, people will contact me about like soulmates to match it to a person, and they're like, well, I really just want the person who I got. I don't really need nothing fancy. I don't ask for like serious commitment. They just can't imagine in the future like somebody being better than the one that they're, having these concerns for or doubts by, or at the time it's called their relationship called into question in all its forms. And it's just hard for sometimes people to imagine ever that, you mean I can, like, physically, emotionally, maybe, and then let alone mentally, like, become fused with another human being? Are you nuts? Like, like, who are you talking to? So, like, okay. But so that means if the universe indeed is going to bring you, as they say, your soulmate or your twin flame, as I like to call them sometimes, they have to super exceed the last person. That means that the one incoming has to be better than that person. The way that I phrase it in layman terms is, there would be somebody who's not only has the capacity to do everything that the person you needed them to do, but they won't do it. They have to be able to do even the additional things that you didn't even think that a person would do for you. Like, oh my gosh, like, she made me breakfast. And was like sitting there I was like, what in the world? Or she's like, she's having my kid, like, like, I wanted a daughter, and I got a daughter. I'm a doctor, I got a son, but now I got a daughter. Or like, he, calls and makes sure he checks up on me. My other guy, he didn't do that. But the whole conversation about he not communicating with her ever, unless he wants something, something like. But now this guy is like, how's your morning? You know, do you need to stop by? Can I bring you anything? She's like, not only this guy, but no guy. It's like, what happened? Like, what witchcraft is this? Like, no witchcraft. This is you attracting what you've been working on for so much time in this psychic space. You're now being, your voice, your thoughts are being amplified, and you're attracting what truly is deserving and what belongs to you. You always have asked the universe, affirmed this. Now I'm just get to be the psychic lucky enough to share with you. It's now coming to pass. So that's the way, yeah. So that's how I get people to kind of help them to begin thinking out, even if they're like, I don't know. But so it becomes a bit of a battle, you know. In 2019, it's definitely a no-fly zone. It's a no-fly zone. 2018, 2019, no-fly zone. But now, there is a shift, but there is still, I would say, a remnant that still hangs into traditional balances that which, Age of Aquarius does come with a purpose. It was meant to teach. It was meant to teach humanity. So we do need grounded Capricorn logic. Like when people get too outside of themselves and want to go hypersensitive and start revolutionizing, culture, bringing new ideas into culture, that are in the trend. There does need to be a group of grounded minds. I mean, it's a purpose for it. Like, look, we've been doing this for like centuries. We've been there. Let me tell you, calm down. When you sober up in your mind, you're gonna understand. Don't when you come to your senses, just you're nervous right now. I know you're scared right now or intimidated right now, but it's not what you we did that. The outcome is not where you think it's gonna go. And there's people we know because we're practical. Yeah, there's people on the other side waiting for you to step. Once you step on their side of the fence, there's attack dogs over there that you haven't even acknowledged. Beware of attack. You haven't even looked. Have you even looked at the sign? It says attack dogs beware. Don't step on the line. And like, no, no, man. I'm ready now. It's like, no, no, no. You're philosophizing. You're not ready to take on what's over there. You're not ready. So, yeah. So there's more work that we're gonna do. More work to do, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So what else? So it's 2024, first year in. I think we're doing an amazing job. Doesn't matter what path we're on. We're doing an amazing job so far as moving towards, like for being the first year, moving towards our first year anniversary into the new age of Aquarius, or age of higher awareness, the Great Awakening. I think we're doing a fantastic job. And our first year anniversary is coming up in February. January, come January, the midnight, it'll be we're going back to feelings, the age of the human heart, soulmates, twin flames, and soul tribes. People will, oh, by the way, will already have recognized, a lot of people will already recognize their soul tribe, their soulmate, and their twin flame. I do realize that some of us, we haven't quite, because again, this is real life, we still kind of talk about the person who stepped off the road, but at the same time we're like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna meet up with my twin flame. You think it's gonna go well? That's like in the last 5 seconds, to answer. You got 5 seconds to answer this question. Like, okay. So it's like, it's not like they're not there, but it's like, well, I'm gonna see what happens. Still, I'm like, thank goodness. I was like, that's why Venus says, oh yeah, by the way, psychic, she's gonna be in charge, channeling to the personality of the seventh house. That's Libra, all year, all 2025, working closely with Jupiter, of course. All 2025, she's going to be very powerful. The Venus, the planet, the connection, of the symbolisms throughout the entire year. Which is deepening relationships. That's what it's about. The deepening of relationships of all kind, particularly the ones of a soul kind. Now, that's not to say that there are not going to be those who will, resist or choose otherwise. And maybe in their resistance, they are other people who are their soul tribes and soul connections. And so, I'm pretty sure that, it's going to play out like that. But I think, but more, furthermore, to add though, I think that people are going to be very surprised what this year is going to be defining, because you have some people that may look at you and say, "What in the Hades are you smiling about?" Then there are people who are like, they're going to be in such, they're going to be in a high vibrational space. There could be people who are very nervous about being judged. You know, they're like a bit conscientious. One second. Welcome. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I'm Psychic Ethan. Hi, Tita. A pleasure answering your. I'm so happy I get to work with your questions today. Let's answer some of your questions. Sure. Thank you so much for that. Mhm. Okay. Oh, that'll be fine. Mm. Right. Let's take a look and see how he long distance. Well, they say only reason why I don't believe that there is going to be a connection because he is from a also from a distance. They say he's putting distance between he and you, and the reason why is because he's already interacting with another. You may have already picked this up on. There's somebody else who he's beginning to interact with, and I believe he had to like I think he would need. I don't know if he's given choice. I don't know if it was her idea or his own idea. Like I probably gotta should have an open this closed office so there's no open ended situation going on. So there's a relationship he's opened himself up to, is what I'm able to detect in this one. He's created. He has an emotional. He's having an emotional connection with other people and looking for this outside relationship. That's what he's transitioning into. That's why he's made this decision so abrupt. Why he wants to be to himself and move on. That's what he's doing. The reconnecting, I would say, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not saying, of course, time is, who knows, Father Time knows all of time, but as far as I can tell, it's like you're going to be living life so quickly. You're going to snap back. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, no, that's too long. So it may be that's the reason why I'm not getting a fair like time frame of like when he will resurface or if he even will, or even if you want him to resurface after all of this. Hmm. Yes, he is. He's trying to explore that. Mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. Not everybody. Hmm. Yeah. I love like you know what, they updated their information. They're now I'm noticed that the Americans are now saying I want your honest reading, your honest advice. So I love that they actually are doing that these days. Because they certainly wasn't doing that before. So I'm very pleased with that. Absolutely. hmm I'm very, very pleased with that idea. hmm It's like they're, because before, I know in 2019, they were like, look, I don't care. All I want to know is. So I haven't heard that yet. All I want to know is, I think that had a lot to do with the tier they had me at. I think that was meant to throw me off, but I ended up making it work for me. And boy, they did not like that. They're like, "How dare you make this work for you?" That's the feeling they made me. That's the feeling that I got from them. Like, "How dare you make this work. This isn't supposed to work for you. You're not supposed to be excelling or be happy. Like, okay, okay, I'm just trying my best. I'm just trying my best. Hmm. So, um, hmm um, yeah, I've been hearing a lot. Well, we're just trying to work together. We're trying to work together. We're working together on some things, bringing this to the forefront and to make this work, to make this come about in a healthy and positive, constructive way. Um, and I love the fact that they say, I want your honesty. They say, I want your honesty. At first, I was offended because I'm like, of course I'm gonna be honest. So I'm not. I wouldn't tell you my. I'll tell you exactly what I say. I'd rather you contact me back and say you're absolutely totally right. I didn't like my answer, but my answer, the answer was correct at least. Then to be said, well, you said this, and why didn't it happen then? Like, why does it sometimes happen and sometimes not? So I'd rather that. But so the way that the tone hit me this time, the upgraded language, because words and they when it goes into a frequent, when it upgrades a transitions to a frequency, it it becomes the brighter information. It's more like I want like your honesty. I wish I was like your honesty. Like I'm celebrating your honesty. Like I wish I had your honesty. That's how I interpret it. Like I appreciate your honesty. I'd love to have honesty like yours. Can I ask you a question? Because I know you're gonna be honest with me. Then the question. Because that's how I interpret it. It's not like a mind warp. Because at first I used to think of it what do you want me to do? Like fabricate something? And then sometimes I like when I'm telling the truth, they're like, are you sure? Like that kind of thing. I'm like, like what would I get out of that? It's not even about holding you on for too long. So I love that idea. Yeah. hmm So I love that they're saying that like you can be honest here. Be so it's not about like fortune telling or storytelling. When I embrace that as a psychic, the same way that I embrace cold readings. When I embrace like cold readings, as we would the term would just mean just sit down and just read people, as we term as a general reading. Just what you pick up, just the first impressions you get. That's what. But then cold reading to you all means like throwing out information out there till something hits. That's not the way we interpret cold readings. When I was like, how are you in a cold read? Cold readings you only hear cold reading when it applies to test readings. Like you're gonna have a cold reading, and that is what we termed as a test reading. And in the general public refer to it as a general reading. Like generally, what do you see for me? So yeah, so you're using a term that we would use like to test a person's psychic ability, or when a psychic is tested, not as like a normality, like a normal. Um, yeah, I'm over here doing cold readings. Come on in. It's more like yeah, I'm just doing readings. The psychic would just say, I'm doing readings. Open readings. So that's what. So open readings are when everyone is invited. I'm doing open readings right now. So yeah, they wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, it's cold reading day." That cold reading is like it implies, "Oh yeah, I'm being tested today." That's a cold reading. Um, yeah, so it would just kind of throw me off because and also now we're in the other reality, the Capricorn reality. So everything kind of come across kind of wonky and kind of negative and sarcasm. Because Saturn is also a planet of sarcastic humor, very dry humor. And then of course when Oh my gosh, when Saturn is in Leo, oh boy, it's it's like people try to be sarcastic, but they end up being actually hateful. So yeah, it's very toxic. Type of sense of dry. It's not even like dry humor. It's more for dry humor, and then it goes into sarcasm. It's like it's called dry humor. No, it's not It's not that it's sarcastic. It's just that it's dry humor. And then the sarcasm part comes in when it's mapped up with Leo. And so earlier this year, at some point, emails were going out where that was being channeled. It was like, why this person would say that or sound like that? That was the influence of the negative, like the Saturn's influence in that fifth house. That's what that represented. That's why. That's why. Hmm. Yeah. It's like somebody trying to get you to laugh at something that you know in your heart of hearts, in your soul, in your being, to your head, to your toes, that like if you try to laugh at that, it's gonna hurt. like don't get a hernia trying to force a laugh. Or lift up weight that you know you shouldn't, you're not even prepared to be lifting. Mhm. Like then there's funny, and then and dry humor is humorous, but then there's like sarcasm, which can be funny, but when it's sarcasm into trying to be trying to pass off something hateful as funny, to where there's no sap of humor in it, is different. It's very different. So yeah, so I was like, so we channeled through that vibration, and I was thinking, yeah, of course, I'm gonna give you my honesty. Yeah, so, yeah. So there are actually people who are we're still working through things. We're gonna work through it, but we're going. That's the thing. We're truly gonna get through it. We will get through these things together. We will. Mm. But I'm so happy there when they approach me now. They say first thing they say is, "I appreciate your honesty. Thank you." So, and with that said, I'm gonna definitely leave that there. Oh, I have like 37 minutes left. Oh my gosh. I know people have, oh, if you've been like joining in and things like that, know that I'm saying hello. I see y'all all. And I just want to say thank you for joining in, keeping me company. If you've asked, a question or two, thank you for asking your question. Sorry that you redacted your. If I had my software, you would not be able to redact your question. It would still show up. I'm not on my. I'm not in my system. I'm gonna bring my system a little. Well, I don't know. If you all keep like popping in as you have, I might bring in my system a little early. I might bring my system back. Then I can see all the questions that that are redacted. It'll stay up there because it goes right to the program. But yeah, when you redact it on the YouTube, yeah, it says redacted, and I can't see it. Um, but I also know I've kind of been talking a little bit, and I I know you probably lost interest. If you're asking a question and you're like, I'll just take my question elsewhere. I totally understand. Um, yeah, I just had decided to come in and spend the first half of my work kind of like just helping everybody, helping you, and just be a part of your life's experience and your journey. Hmm. But yes, we have to. We can deliver. What they call it. I don't call it bad readings. I don't call it bad information. Or how are you delivering a message that might be, you know, not what the client wants to hear. I view it as positive. Like if in my mind, I'm thinking, this is information in which now that you have this information, you're going to grow and you're going to move on in a like empowering. That's my time to show you where you're empowered. In other words. like you're so empowered, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why? Like, it's more like, you know, that you're fed up. You're fed up and you're empowered, and this only further solidifies that you're ready to take on this new journey. It's like a blessing in disguise. Let's take the road, this open road, this open journey. What do we have to lose? Nothing. We already lost that person. Not lost them as we're the loser. No. By the way, I need to, okay, I'm going to just pitch this. I've been thinking about doing a live over it, and maybe, I'm pretty sure I will. But remember, don't allow anybody like to point finger at you for loving somebody. It's not there. You did not love improperly, right? Your love is is not ready to be accepted by the person whom you want your love to be embraced by, because first of all, it's the win is, this is not a group participation. There is just proof you learned to love and the other person had not. That means that this was an individual quest and test. And you have acquired the ability to love someone outside of yourself. And there is nothing wrong with that. I don't teach, oh, you learned, you loved improperly. You need to revisit how you loving somebody, because there'll be somebody in your life who you can love and be the way that you are with that person. And that person is going to like bless every step you take. Like you will not be walking over broken glass and mirror shards. You will be like doors open for you, and you'll be like, being taken out into dinners, and taking abroad on trips, and going to spend time with their family and their friends, and feeling like you're just walking on the clouds, you know. And then, so it's not so much that you loving somebody who or loving improperly, is that when you activated your love, you start transmitting that to the universe. Universe starts to take note that, oh, you're sending us affirmations of the kind of love you do want in return. And so when the universe starts dishing that out to you through the justice, it's like, sometimes if the person is not equipped or has the ability to filter that information or transmit it back to you, universe spiritually lawfully eradicates whatever is the block is in the form of a person, who you're like, I'm sending all of it to that love. Universe is like capturing that, filtering the universe, and it's transmitting someone to love you, someone who is patient with you, somebody who is active with you, someone who's present with you. And that's exactly the person. Enough, sometimes, often, a person with a different face, complexion, height, whatever, gender, whatever, station in life, class, education, finances, attract to you, giving you exactly that. And you're like, universe, I thought it was Ed or Jesse or Jess. I thought wait a minute. This person just did what? This person just brought me roses. you know? That kind of thing. Or like she's already talking to her dad about me. Like, she's standing up for me. Like, she said good things about me to her dad. Oh my God. So it's that kind of vibration. It's like, sometimes we think, why didn't the universe send that person to me? Why didn't the universe just send that person and then get me to love that person and then we just be done? Well, you're having a human experience, and as are everyone else involved. The other person who is not ready or cannot provide, give back the love, but also the person who you're going to who's and also going to give love inexchangeably with you is going to experience. And everybody has to end up in their places, as you would say, and they're on their mark, at a very precise time. That means the glare from the light has to be right, just enough for you to turn your because we're stubborn, we're stubborn necked, to turn your head and go, ooh, you looking at me? Like, why are you looking at me for? And then the perfect person to shift their way in that cause you to say, excuse me, oh, hi there again. And now you're talking, and they're like, oh, we keep running. Hi, my name is what? So, and then you connect, and then it becomes this sequence of events and of vibrations, frequencies, and sound and thought playing out. Like, you two just need to go out, explore, and don't feel guilty in your process. Like, I loved and loved and loved, and this person, do not feel guilty. Go out and allow your love vibrations to attract what you have been sending out to the universe. You gave them their opportunity. They chose free will, they chose. Otherwise, you do not need to wait any longer. Love is out there, and you've been saying to the universe the love you wanted, embrace it. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Hi, man. Um, okay, though. A connection. Okay, the next meeting. My gosh. Ooh, I'm drawn towards, actually, it feels like something is saying like go the weekend. Um, between, yes, experience. My bad. Mm-hmm. He needs to, I need to like, I need to keep focused here. Anyways, so sounds like he's gonna have a great date. Okay. Hmm. Don't worry, I'm still in a bit of a trance. I just did a reading, so I'll come out of a trance here in a little bit. I'm still kind of connected to that person. I still have things I want to say. That's why. Okay. My goodness. So, in case you haven't noticed, I've actually been obviously doing some typing. So I've been doing chat. But if you're looking at the details, you realize that I'm actually shuffling tarot cards, though the person can't see me, or if I'm on the phone, they can't see me. But yes, I'm actually reading the cards. I'm actually, you know, um, even if like chatting in between, like the moment that they come up and I'm already laying out cards for them. immediately. So yes, there's real activity going on the other end. Even though you are receiving the reading, you can't see it. But yes, like if you couldn't see me, all you could do is hear me. If you could hear like you could hear the shuffling of cards, and me hitting the table and things like that, moving things around. Most definitely, you could hear that clearly. hmm So just saying, this is a little bit of a detail. Yeah, I was like looking here and I was like, okay, like there's activity going on. Like this, I love it, but it's a bit of a discipline for me. I know that I would have, like me and Saturn would have been really fighting. I've been with fighting, and Saturn would have won though, because that's my karma. Because I have to be very intent. Like I cannot afford to like move around because I need to stay focused on like when things shift over. Like it doesn't give me like a will. I can't rely on like you have an incoming call. It just doesn't work that way. Or you have an incoming chat. I have to be like front and center. I get a lot of chats, more chat actually than I do phone. And um, I have not received video yet. I have not received a video one yet. Um, and I'm hoping to develop for the video, I'm hoping to develop a kind of like build my sort of stage based on the video that is through my work. So, like, I want to create a stage. So I want the stage, I guess, to look fantastic, which I know how to. Mine is where I put the lights blue and it has like the blue, and then I situate the lights where it's just shining directly like this onto the table. So it's like a bright light coming down, and then I'm leaned in, and you can see me clearly, and you can also see the cards spread out on the table. So that's the staging, I guess, my way of staging. Um, I know I'm gonna get. I already know I'm gonna get. I know I'm gonna have like the LED, like the lights and things. So yeah, that's where it's going eventually. Okay, we'll get there. Um, At some point, I'm sure I'll go through many changes, but that's the one that I'm focused on at the moment. hmm Yeah, but for now, I'm just getting a feel for everything. I'm just like I'm mastering the skeleton of everything. Like right now, I just want to be fantastic at making sure I'm on time, making sure I deliver properly. Grade every reading is a test reading. Regardless. And to handle every situation, with delicate hands, sensitivity. So I'm thinking in those contexts. Oh my gosh. Uh, yeah. Especially in chat, I'm like if you ever taken a writing class, you know how critical writing, like they're supposed to be critical, that they are, right? And so every time that I do a chat, I'm like, okay, was everything spelled right? Was the grammar right? So mm, so I gotta, pay closer attention to making sure that we spell everything correctly. Not in terms of like we is we and where, and where and where, when and how, not like that. But I mean in terms of, like just a typo. I don't even like typos. So like that even drives me nuts. So I'm like, how did I not see that? Then it says like didn't I not see the red mark? So mhm. because when he typo to me, it even though it may be unintentional, it kind of is like it kind of sends like the vibrations of I don't give a bleep. So I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to sound like I don't give a bleep. I want people to really feel greeted. I want them to feel like I know what I'm doing, especially. And I want them to feel comfortable with me. And that's creating that experience, that magical experience that right now it's spiritual, and spirituality is meant to super exceed our current life as we know it, the very brief moment that we're there, and everything should go right. You know, even if I had to hold back something to make it happen, that's my job. So I do need to kind of be mindful of that. So, you know, like, but nobody's perfect. Well, there's some people that say you maybe so, but you better die trying. Otherwise, the guides they won't notice you. the gods won't notice you. So you want the gods to notice you, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it'll get better. It will get better. My goodness. I'm still I'm still kind of trying to figure it all out, everybody. So, if I've not been that attentive in keeping target on, I see you all beginning to interact and things like that. And I know you're trying your best to be patient with me by getting my attention. Know that I see you. Eventually, I get to you. I get to see you eventually. And I do appreciate you. I welcome you. Um, I know that whenever universe helps me to figure all this out, indeed I will, not only see you, but you will be able to like have a more of a interactive experience with me, which usually you get, usually you get, but I'm my world is opened up, and I view it as this: the world is opened up just so that I can all this is teaching me and preparing me to give you all that I can give you in this next chapter of my experience with you all for now. Um, so I'm looking at applying all of my skill and everything I've learned into the what did I say the um, YouTube experience. That's the goal. That's the goal. Um, but every time I go to talk about this, I know it's not as straight and cookie cutter as that, because every time I say that, I can feel myself saying, "Oh yeah, and this is also a place where I want to share like my gifts and what I've learned and knowledge, and also other things that I see that I normally don't have the opportunity to share, to talk about." So, oh yeah. So don't ever think that, yeah. So just in case, you don't think, oh my gosh, now that he's, become a super psychic, now all of a sudden he's getting now he's profit. Please don't think of it like that. Don't think of it like that at all. It's more like I've always received this information, and I'm not saying that, like you know, to be general or to be extra. I just never, like, I rarely share with you all what I see. I rarely would share this. And I would always share it in the form of a video in the midst of something live, because people would ask, and like, what do you think about this? And so then I would go into conversations about it. So I would never really go into depth about it. I just recently started like actually creating lives where I go into great depth and in source and things like that, and share and put cards on it and look at the alignments, of planets and things like that with you all. I just begun to do that, but I find it so fascinating to do it. And it's not that like, why would you want to do that? What possessed you to do that? I'm just really great at it. I'm really great. I'm fantastic at it. That's why I do it. When I first began to do it, YouTube was like, you can't do that here. I was like, it would be frustrating, super frustrating, but I'm like, well, how are other people talking on serious subjects? And like what makes their way of delivering that subject any different from mine? Even like though mine is coming from a psychic's point of view, is it because I'm saying psychic or prediction? Like what is up with that? So I think that they've done something different where they've upgraded maybe the language. They kind of like expanded on like that the right to believe and to um, you know think even and to share information a bit. It's a little bit more broader now. Like now I notice that like they'll say we can't market that, like they would say, well, Google can't market this. But then I found that, well, now it's marketable. Like now it's even suggested, oh, these could potentially your top performing. Like you should like, if you want to market this one would really work. I'm like, oh really? Well, that one's actually like on some like world prediction stuff. Are you like are you sure? And so I would, of course, I would wait, and then of course it just like the numbers would just go up. I said, well, I should have listened to them and actually went with them. But this is pretty organic, very organic. Um, like some people they happen in like in days or hours or months. My story is gonna be might happen in years. Might happen in years. I'm gonna be that story. Yeah, 10 years. And even though it's been longer, I remember like becoming a member like 2014, right? So, and I wasn't not in a hurry. I was just like every now and then I play with it. Um, and then, but I wasn't like committed because at that time I thought profession over social media, enjoy social media. So I hadn't gotten into you can be, actually like become like do everything that you're doing, but independent and online and and get great value out of it. I wasn't really, people were contacting me and asking me how they can excel and exceed. And I told them, yeah, I picked up on it. Yeah, your energy is shifting and what you want is, really the ones that can actually do what they do, to display their talents or communicate live, actually are the ones going to be flourishing. And that's exactly what they did. They came back with the results like, yeah, yeah, yeah. My YouTube is taking off. Young people, yeah, people, content creators have contacted me, and they said, you know what, you should do it. You should get on YouTube. I was saying, you think you're like, okay, well, I don't know. So I've been asked that so many times before, especially like having read for people, and now I'm like, okay. So um, so on now when they say that I have been like my channel has been official 5 years. So maybe they weren't even looking like 2014 and up to 5 years ago. They probably weren't. They probably I probably weren't even on their radar, until 5 years ago. Because now they're saying, well, now you've been here. You're official of 5 years. By the way, it's 5 minutes till my break. So right. So anyways, however I choose to tell that story, I'm gonna definitely gonna be the story that's gonna say, yeah, it took me many years and many different tries, and uh just enjoying what I do, and I know that regardless of the perception of like social media, the I guess my community, the world, clearly if this is what I do every day for a living, it's valuable to them. So I guess that's what what's made me not say, oh, forget it, maybe this is not for me. I think it's literally because I'm like, no, trust me, you need this information, because so many lives who I work with are being changed every single day. And just by a little conversation, like 1 to 2 minutes, um, you know, 3 minutes, 9 minute conversations, changing lives that people have had questions over for months, half a year, more than a year, 11 years. And they start to, like, every time they call, just like 5 minutes here, 7 minutes there, 11 minutes there. And then they're like, yeah, I've been at this for like 14 years. And so this is where I'm at. This is the reality. This is the next stage. So yeah, so it's like every time the person is contact me, the more the elevation, the greater the elevation for them is what I strive for. I'm seeing that, and I'm like, forget in the world who claim they don't know what I am, and no, just be who I am. Come already in this. I'm already in the service. My problem is that I've had this whole life that's that big secret that's already in motion, and then I come to you all, and it always is like a fresh start. Like, hi, I'm a PSYCHIC. Yes, that spells psychic. What is a psychic? A psychic is someone who claims clairvoyancy. Clairvoyancy is the gifting of the clairs of many that state that a gifted person with sight, you know. So it's always like from scratch. And so that became very boring to me. And I was like, because I'm like super sight. I'm like, talk about claircognizant. Claircognizant is not even it's not like a, people have heard of it, people maybe know of it, but they are not like, it's not like a word that is everyone might be familiar with, let alone everyone familiar with, like, clairvoyancy, or people saying like, you know, are psychics real? Are you kidding? Hey, well, do a fortune teller cookie thing. Like, throw out a card or something. Throw a card or two. You know. So I said no. Like, seriously. So that's why I said, well, let me just, since I already have the activity going on, instead of just like coming over here and like starting new. Oh, look what I got! I got this great big information. Like, oh gosh, another person claiming that there's some kind of, like, they got a special, collect call from God. 1 second. Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm Ethan. It's a pleasure to work with you today. Hi, Regina. hmm I know you have a great question in mind. I'm ready. hmm Absolutely. Let's veer into this space. One of the things is that the guides, well, first of all, they do believe you. Number one, the managers themselves understand that there is something that's going on here, Absolutely believe you. Mhm. Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to go right into. They see you as as a brilliant worker and that you're a hard worker. They know that, so they didn't take note. Believe me, they took note. They know that you give a lot to the business, to the company. They notice your absence. That's right, your work, and usually you say yes, no complaints. Yes, I can do the work. They know something is not right. They know something is wrong. That's true. And it was a setback. So, like, okay, they know in their mind, right, what I just said, but also it was a setback because it could be better if you were there. They know that. They know that you're an investment, and they are on your side, by the way, and they will find a resolution. You're being recognized. When you go back, you're going to be recognized for what the things you've been saying, and you're going to get you're going to get an answer from them. Actually, this week when you go back, you before this month, November 2024 is gone, you are going to get an answer that you've been looking for, something to be happy for. They're going to do something about it. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope I'm getting that across. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Um, my chat was fantastic, but I made up for my little chat incident. Yeah, that's something that I was still connected to that. That, for some that kind of rubbed me wrong. I like, no, I know I'm better than that. Come back. Yeah, I made up for it on that one. That's what I'm saying. Every reading is a test reading. Every reading gotta be a test. Oh, come on, I'm ready. Next, come on, talk to me. Oh, okay. When do I? Yeah, I gotta come back in a few 30 minutes. I'll be back. They be wanting me to come in at I'm like, sure. Um, anyways, it's somehow I don't know what it does it, but mine is a yeah. I just take a few minutes away. I don't know how to illustrate that I'll be back. I haven't think. Oh yeah, I think I gotta when I create the schedule, I gotta map that out. Also in the morning, I'm gonna start. Yeah, I need to add to my schedule that I'll be taking a break at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. my time. Although I don't use a whole hour, just because I've been sneaking off to actually go get cappuccino, and we're in that cappuccino weather. So type, I've been kind of dreaming about it, and I don't. Well, no, I'm not even gonna attempt it. I'm gonna say, I usually could make my rounds less than and be back. I will probably will be dreamy eyed, and so I don't want to be like, yeah, I need an hour and I'll go get what I need and come back. Because I like to rather come back like or like just run and go do what I gotta do then come back. Like it only take like 10 minutes, but I know that's becoming a habit. So I'm gonna make even on that I spend so many hours, it's like, oh, that's just a blink of a time. So I'm gonna add like I usually go 8 a.m. So now I'm changing, which is when it's 8 a.m. I believe it's 2 p.m. their time. So 2 to 3 their time. So that's what they see. Hmm. So middle of the day. So literally it's 8 a.m. my time. That's what they kind of don't realize. It's 2 p.m. their time. They're like, you spend all day and all, it's like, calm down. It's over where I'm at, we're just now making coffee and tea. Okay. You're having tea and wine. relax. They're like, you've been up all night long. Excuse me, it's the middle of the day. It's actually time for me to go have lunch. Relax, go to bed, call me in the morning. Oh boy. All right, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a break, and then if Lord forbid, or if Lord's okay, is okay, I'll come back. And yeah, because I got 4 more hours. Yeah, and then I got to do it again tomorrow. Yeah, I've only been like I'm trying to do this like get all of the acquired hours in the first 2 days, and then I also captured some weekends and do some things on the weekend. So I'm kind of making it where people can have a fantastic reading with me and then reconnect with me, but I'm not like just always available. I don't want to be always available, but at least for now. So I guess it like depends on where they need me. Right now, I'm just trying to go based on like, okay, like where do you need me most? Right. So that's what I'm doing so far. Anyway, so I need to assess some things, clear my head, and then I will come back and hopefully see. I'm right now. I'm connected with the energy. I feel extra healthy, high energy. But the moment that I push in, I don't know how I'm gonna. There's that spiral, so I don't know, but we'll see.